mass shooting that happened at Sydney's iconic Bondi beach that has unfortunately claimed 12 lives. Remember, 29 others who are injured. The terror attack that erupted at a crowded Jewish Hanukkah celebration. This was happening near the Bondi beach. Multiple gunmen who opened fire, sending attendees and bystanders running in panic. Multiple videos that show chaotic scenes and at least one moment where a bystander disarmed a shooter amid the gunfire. Two suspects have been taken into custody and one of the attackers, believed to be Naveed Akram, who is reported dead at the scene. Australia has called this a terror attack and issued an apology, calling the incident shocking and distressing. Prime Minister Anthony Albanese has called an emergency meeting of the Cabinet's National Security Committee. Israel has strongly condemned the violence to a targeted terror attack. It accused Australia of failing to act on warnings about rising anti-Semitism.
Of evil anti-Semitism, terrorism that has struck the heart of our nation. An attack on Jewish Australians is an attack on every Australian, and every Australian tonight will be, like me, devastated on this attack on our way of life. There is no place for this hate, violence and terrorism in our nation. Let me be clear. We will eradicate it. Amidst this vile act of violence and hate will emerge a moment of national unity where Australians across the board will embrace their fellow Australians of Jewish faith at this dark moment for our nation.
As a result of the circumstances of the incident tonight, at 9:36 p.m. this evening, I declared this to be a terrorist incident. I have also authorised special powers under Section 5 and Section 6 to ensure that if there is a third offender, and we are currently investigating that at the moment, we will make sure that we prevent any further activity. Section 6 allows us to investigate today's incident. There is a massive police response, and I think as journalists you have seen how quickly and promptly the police responded. I'm incredibly proud of the professionalism of our police and emergency service responders. They have done a fantastic job.
At approximately 6:47 this evening, two individuals began firing on a crowded group of families on Bondi Beach at Archer Park. This cowardly act of terrifying violence is shocking and painful to see and represents some of our worst fears about terrorism in Sydney. I very sadly need to report that as of now, there are at least 12 individuals that have been killed. One of the offenders has also been killed and one is in custody. This attack was designed to target Sydney's Jewish community on the first day of Hanukkah.
And joining me on the broadcast, my colleague Pranay Upadhyay, who's been tracking the story very closely, Soumya Awasthi, who's a terrorism expert at ORF, and Shuki Friedman, Director General of the Jewish People Policy Institute. Many thanks for joining us this evening. Soumya, I'd like to come to you first about this attack that has been established as an anti-Semitic terror attack. It has a striking resemblance to the October 7 attack, but in a part of the world that is largely untouched by such attacks. What is your understanding of it?
It's very unfortunate what we have heard, and our condolence with the citizens of Australia. But, to begin with, it's been many years that Australia had not witnessed any of these kinds of terrorist activities. But in some way, there was always an acknowledgement that there is a possibility of the attack, and therefore the national terrorism threat levels were increased from possible to probable. And given that also the profile of Akram, if you read, it is found that he was more and more online, spending time online, and there was a lot of online radicalization that they are suspecting. So yes, there is a similarity in what we saw in October 7, that there was a lot of motivation happening on the social media. Secondly, the anti-Semitism. Yes, Australia has been quite vocal on the issue of Gaza, and they have also said that they recognize Palestinian issue and the state. So they were planning to recognize it. And given all this, there is certainly a a state actor or a non-state actor's involvement in not letting that solution happen. And it's unfortunate what we see today.
All right, Shuki, if I could bring you in, Israel has heavily condemned this attack, also somewhere calling out the slip of the Australian government as far as ignoring such intel is concerned. What do you have to say?
First of all, I have to express my condolences to the Australian jury and community. It's a severe terror attack, one of the most serious attacks worldwide against Jews in recent years, and it's true that its resonance, the attacks on October 7, because you see here innocent people celebrating the first day of Hanukkah, the Jewish holiday of lights, and in the same day, in the same celebration, terrorists attacking them and killing at least 11 innocent Jews just because they are Jews. They're not Israelis, they're not attacking any Palestinians, and have just celebrated a religious Jewish holiday. Now, if we take a perspective, we have to realize that in recent 2 years in Australia, the number of anti-Semitic attacks has grown dramatically in a dimension of double 5 of what it used to be before October 7, and the last year to been 1,652 attacks on Jews, anti-Semitic attacks on Jews, against Jews. And this attack today is actually the peak and the most severe of those attacks, because I think that since what we've witnessed in the United States 3 or 4 years ago, and again in 2018, there have been no such attacks against Jews around the world. Now, it's true that it's been published that Israelis warned Australian authorities about a probable attack against Jewish targets and community. I don't know, and I assume it will be examined and investigate seriously what happens there, but there's no question that the major celebration of the Jewish community in Sydney in Hanukkah, which is the traditional one, have been targeted, and there will be no enough police presence and response to this attack. So both attackers, but also the Australian authorities, failed to manage and prevent this horrible attack.
All right, I want to take this to my colleague Pranay Upadhyay, who's been tracking the story very closely. And Pranay, unfortunately, 12 people have lost their lives. But according to the New South Wales Police and the counter-terrorism agencies who are investigating this attack, also believe that it could be a larger plot that was foiled, given the fact that there was a vehicle laden with explosives. If you could tell us how much explosives were in that car, and they were actually wanting to claim many, many more lives.
Absolutely, Suyesha. If you see the design of this terror attack, the two attackers started shooting at people at a large crowd gathering, which was there to celebrate the Hanukkah festival there on Hanukkah by the sea event at the Bondi beach. And there was an explosive laden, which was actually an IED, improvised explosive device, fitted in a vehicle there, and that was parked at a place where they thought that people would be running in this direction, and then they could maximize the damage, they could maximize the toll number, but the world is recognizing the heroic act of that bystander who actually captured one of the gunmen and who snatched disarmed him by snatching his rifle from him. And in fact, it helped catching these two attackers. 11 innocent people have lost their life, and one of the attacker also got killed in this action. And one of the attacker is captured alive. He is also wounded and he is undergoing a treatment. But 29 people are injured in this incident. Definitely, this could have been a bigger attack. This could have the magnitude of this attack could have been much wider, much bigger. It had if they would have succeeded in exploding that IED, which was placed in a vehicle there. However, that has been diffused. The identity of Naveed Akram has not been like the nationality, the other details about Naveed Akram, one of the attackers who got killed in this action, in this ambush, has not been released by the Australian police authorities as yet. But you have heard Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese clearly recognizing it as a terror attack, as an anti-Semitic act. And as our experts were also indicating, as far as Australia's case is concerned, there have been in past in some terror incident, including the Sydney incident of 1982, when the Israeli consulate was attacked, and one of the Hakoa cafe, which was very popular among the Australian Jewish community, was also attacked, and there were later on some arrests in 2011 as well. As far as that case is concerned, even in 2014, we have seen the Lind Cafe, hostage situation in Sydney. So in past, there have been some lone wolf incident. There have been some past terror incident, but we do not know as yet that whether it was a well orchestrated, incident, terror incident engineered
Right.
by any terror group, or these two attackers were working were on their own. So we are waiting for the further details, but definitely it's a terror incident. And in the recent past, let me complete this last point, Suyesha, that in the recent past we have seen that how in Washington D.C. the Jewish museum was attacked, where the two Israeli diplomats got killed. Here, a Jewish community event in Australia was targeted in a similar way. The way the terror attack was engineered on 7th of October 2023. So clearly there
Right.
is a pattern in it.